Stacey Jones is to the left. They've got number problems here. Manly. Jones has done it. Stacey Jones.
He is now the current coach of the Kiwis and the assistant coach of the New Zealand Warriors. Do you sort of envy the game now, or are you glad that you played in the area that you did?
A lot of enjoyment has probably gone from the game. Back in those days, if you were the halfback, you didn't have to tackle. So,
Did you ever suffer when you left your playing career and transitioned into your coaching career?
I never wanted to be a coach. I coached my local club, Point Chev. From there, it allowed me to find if I enjoyed coaching.
Did you carry the same mindset in your coaching career that you did in your playing career?
You think you've got it all sus, but you haven't. As a coach, you have more desire to win.
What do you think's a weakness that not many other people know about you that you know about yourself?
A weakness for me that I was...
The little general, Stacey Jones. Welcome to the show, brother.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me, Zach. Yeah.
No, man, it's crazy, to be honest. I was one of those guys that was playing Stacey Jones Rugby League, and probably when I was like 10, all those 90 kids out there, well, you know, if you know, you know. Actually, no, I did want to address though, because there'll be a couple of young fellas that may not be into league or anything like that. I'm like, oh, who is Stacey Jones? And so I guess I want to address that first. Stacey is one of, if not the greatest rugby league players that has come out of New Zealand. He is now the current coach of the Kiwis and the assistant coach of the New Zealand Warriors, and have been for the last 8 years. So if you don't know, now you bloody know, put some respect on the name. I did want to ask you though, Stacey, start off in probably an area that you probably hate or dislike, and it is around the past. And I wanted to ask you, do you think about your footy days much, or your past at all? Do you think about those days?
Not really, Zach. Not now, because it's probably been such a long time ago. And a lot of my focus is now on coaching.
Yeah.
And also the game has changed so much.
Yeah.
You know, the game has gone to another level. You know, it's a huge business now. I guess back when I was playing, it was becoming professional, but not as professional as it is today. And I feel there's probably a lot of enjoyment has probably gone from the game. The game's still great, and I know the players still love it, but at a professional level, the game is so hard, and it controls players' lives. If you're playing it at an amateur level, you can have some really good fun, and you're playing for your local club, and growing up playing the game was wonderful. But today I just feel that the game it's a business.
Wow.
But it's a really good, good entertainment for people to watch, because it is a really good game.
Do you wish, you know, the time that you were playing, do you sort of envy the game now, or are you glad that you played in the area that you did?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, Zach. I guess what I do envy is the professionalism around it all. We didn't have that when we were players. There was an element of professionalism, but the resources that the players get, and, you know, and I can probably talk about players before me, you know, that the level that I was playing at compared to 20, 30 years before me, where the game would have been then. You know, players then wouldn't have got paid, you know, anything. And, you know, I was fortunate enough to come in the era when it became fully professional, and now the game's just a different beast.
Yeah.
You know, the players, they turn up to training at 6:30 in the morning, and sometimes they're not leaving till 6:30 at night. They're long days because they got so many other commitments that they've got to do, not just training, but, you know, there's sponsorship commitments. There's also just simple things like recovery and medical and all of that. So the game is you know, is really full time.
Well, I do want to go to your past again in regards to a little bit of your career, because you started at a young age playing your junior footy. I actually saw Ponsonby, played at Ponsonby Ponies, Mount Albert Lions and Point Chev. And was Point Chev sort of like your main hub?
Point Chev was my main team.
Yeah.
I played for Ponsonby. I got two older brothers, and I played in their team. And when I think I was about 6 or 7, I had to play in my own age group.
Yeah.
So Ponsonby didn't have a team, and then I went and had one season for Mount Albert. I can't remember. I must have been about 8 years old then.
Yeah.
And we lived in Point Chev. Our family grew up. We grew up most of our lives in Point Chev and started playing for them. And that was sort of the club that I played, pretty much the rest of my junior footy for.
Yeah. And then 1994, you played Auckland Vulcans, and then you debuted. I actually got the date as well, April 23rd in 1995 for the Warriors, the year that the club was introduced. And you retired in 2009. So in an almost 15-year-long career playing first grade, what comes to my mind is longevity. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think enabled you to play at such a high level for such a long period of time?
Well, first of all, you've done good homework there, Zach, with those dates. I don't know. The game was becoming professional, and I'd like to think that I was probably at the better end of being professional within that group. Don't get me wrong, I certainly enjoyed having a beer after a game, but I felt that I always trained really hard. I always made sure that I was fit. Probably more that, and I guess being a small guy, back in those days, if you're the halfback, you didn't have to tackle. So halfbacks have to tackle now. I guess I was probably looked after a bit in that respect.
Yeah, wicked. Well, I also wanted to ask you, and around that is around passion and how to keep and hold on to your passion, because I feel like in this day and age, we want things very fast, and we live in a world now where it's like instant gratification. We want things very quickly. I'm a victim of it too. And particularly in sports and in life in general, but particularly in sports, we can get really bored from certain things. Everything becomes quite familiar. Similar drills for you would have been similar drills, similar people, similar training, similar routines. How were you able to keep and hold on to your passion and love for the game for such a long period of time, even including your junior footy?
I guess it's surrounding yourself with good people too. Very lucky, with the family that I have, a group of friends that I have, and if I think about now where I'm at with the Warriors and the staff that I work with there, and Andrew Webster, Rich Agar, Slade Griffin, all coaches that are real passionate, but we all get on really well. And Andrew Webster allows us to do our job, and he keeps a real good fun side of things as a head coach. He's, I've worked under other coaches before where, they're very good, but what Andrew Webster does do is make sure that there's a real good fun element within our group.
Yeah, see, fun and enjoyment. It's like a correlation between fun and enjoyment and still doing the job though, right? And still having that hunger and the desire to win and all those sorts of things.
Oh, you still got to, make sure you're on top of your job. And, when I say, the fun element, it's fun away from, training. Or, when we're in the coach's office, we're talking about things, and it might be a joke. Or, we're at the hotel, day before a game, and we're playing cards, something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
When there's time to work, it's time to work.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, there is passion, and then there is respect, and I want to touch on respect because respect is earned. It's not given always, and we must respect everyone regardless of who they are and where they come from. But there's like a different level of respect that we give certain people, and a great analogy when I was doing my research is like the man that walks in the room, like Joseph Parker walks in the room. I don't really know him, but immediately there's respect. So, not everyone's going to be a Stacey Jones despite how hard they work or how much desire they want for respect. I wanted to ask you in regards to respect, how do you think we should go about it? How do we achieve respect in your opinion?
Oh, that's a tough one. I guess it's just having a really good character. I think that's really important. And I know, teams that I've played in, even teams that I've coached. And, if you don't have a good character, and when I talk character, it's those traits you have of being an honest person, someone you can trust, someone that just, he's got good manners. When you shake their hand, you look them in the eye, you say hello to them and, you give them time. And I think that's how you get respect, by being a good person.
Yeah.
And I feel that I've known a lot of people in the past that I've worked with that don't have those traits, and they're people that, you know, you don't want to be around. You know, you don't want them to, especially in an organisation, whether it be the Warriors or any organisation. You know, you got to have people that have got good characters. I reckon good character, you get respect.
Yeah, well, good character, good respect. I love that. I did want to touch on sort of the opposite end of that, because those having good character, being respected, those are sort of, you know, you obviously have to have great qualities about yourself, which can be considered strengths. I wanted to touch on, there are many things about us that we know that other people may know, that which we may consider weaknesses about ourselves. And so I want to go back to your footy days first and foremost and ask you the same thing. For example, for me, a potential weakness, I'll give you two examples, a surface level and a little bit of a deeper. Surface level, I'm not good with tools. That's something about myself that I view as a weakness that other people may not know. On a deeper level, I consider myself quite a self-centered person. You know, if you're talking about center, people are work-centered, money-centered, community-centered, whatever. I'm very self-centered. So this year I'm trying to make it paramount to be more of service. And those are things about me that not many other people know that I consider weaknesses. So going back to you and your footy days back in the earlier stages, where a lot of people saw a lot of strengths, what was a weakness or weaknesses about yourself that not many other people knew?
Oh, God, I know it's nothing that's really, I've never really thought of it. I probably, in my younger days, when I first came into playing at the highest level and playing in a position where you've got to be strong vocally, I wasn't strong.
Yeah.
You know, I was more, but sit back and wait for someone else to do it. But in the position, you know, if you're playing halfback or you know, what do we call it now, anywhere in the spine in rugby league, you've got to have a strong voice. And it took me a few years to get that. It took me a couple of players to pull me aside and say, look, if you want to go to the next level or you want to be a better player, you have to take control of things. You've got to open up, you know. And I thought about it, and they were right, you know. And that's something I try and do with any of young players coming through, because you can't force it on them. You can't say, I need you to talk more. You know, I need you to do this more. I need you to do that more. Well, you can say that to them, but then you've got to, like what you said, you got to give them the right tools to allow them to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and how does that look for them? So that's probably a weakness for me, that I was probably in my shell too much as a young person, and experience got me through it. Yeah.
Do you think you still struggle with that? Do you still feel like you're still in that shell a little bit?
No, not at all. Because I also think I'm comfortable with what I do and how I go about it. I may come across as being a person that's shot, but that's me. I want to be that person. I don't want to be that person that's going to be, you know, front and centre of sometimes you've got to do that when you're a coach, when you're a head coach, you have to be that person, but you don't have to be the centre of attention all the time.
Yeah. What do you think now, Stace? What do you think's a weakness that not many other people know about you that you know about yourself?
Technology.
Yeah.
I just feel like, you know, like phones and computers and the way things are now. Like, I don't do social media. And I guess there is an element to it where it's a big part of the world now. But I'm not tech savvy at all. I can turn my computer on and get my work done. But it's probably, that is a big weakness, because I know when, you know, the way that our game is, we do a lot of video analysis, you know, and I'm working all the time with our analyzer, you know, and you want to just get figures on a computer where it can, I need to show something to a player. Yeah. I can point it out to him on the computer, but if you can, our analyst has got, you know, let's highlight this part here, highlight that part there, and it all looks really good. I couldn't do that. You know, and I reckon things like that are really important for us as coaches. We need to know that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, speaking of coaching, I do want to go into your transition. I feel like a lot of greats, particularly in sport, when they transition or leave the craft, some of them go through a really a tough time, or they struggle. There could be like a mental depression. Some people. Did you ever suffer when you left your playing career and transitioned into your coaching career?
Not really, Zach. I come home from France, and then I had another year with the Warriors, and I was just doing bits and pieces. I was actually I worked for the Auckland Rugby League. I was actually coaching my local footy team, Point Chev. I had bits and pieces going on. I was doing a little bit of stuff at Sky Sport and Multi TV around league and that. So I had things that kept me busy, and I not fluked my way into coaching. I never wanted to be a coach, but I coached my local club, Point Chev, and me and a good mate of mine, Owen Goodenbiel, and then we took them to a level, that probably kept the club alive, along with Mark Robinson, who's now the current owner of the Warriors, and from there it allowed me to find if I enjoyed coaching, and then I started doing a little bit of development work at the Warriors, and then a couple of years later I was coaching the under-20s, and I did a little bit of work with our reserve grade team and that. So I sort of just fell into it. I never said, when I finish footy, I'm going to be a coach, because I probably didn't see myself as that person. Because I can tell there's players that are at the end of their career, I could say, he's going to be a good coach. Yeah. He's going to be a good coach. He'll be a good coach. You're not going to be a good coach. You can see traits,
For sure.
So, but for me, it just fell because I went back. And I reckon it's a good way to do it. Go back to your local club or a local club, and you really find out about where our game comes from, the grassroots, like that our players come from a grounding level where, it's the mothers, it's the fathers, it's the families, it's the local committee of a club. That's where our players come from.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, you made that transition in 2010, coaching Point Chev, and what stood out for me is you sort of had to restart, right? It was kind of like you were back to square one. You're in a new, completely different role, and you pretty much did a very similar thing to what you did in your playing career. You started from the bottom, development, recruitment pathways, NYC, New South Wales Cup, and then into the Warriors. And my question I wanted to ask you is in regards to mindset. And did you carry the same mindset in your coaching career that you did in your playing career?
Bits and pieces, Zach, but not a lot. When I first started coaching, from a player, I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew everything. I thought, this is going to work, that'll work, this will work. It didn't work. You think you've got it all sussed, but you haven't. And I'm just talking like, okay, I'll sit there, I'll go through a training session. It might take me 2 hours to write out a plan. So I'm sitting there writing out a plan for training. And this is for Point Chev. And then you plan it, and then like 6 players turn up. Yeah. And you're thinking you're going to have 26 players. And then it's like, well, what are you going to do with 6 players? Or then you might go, I'll plan. I know 12 players are going to turn up today, so I'll design it for 12. You got 30 players turn up. Yeah. So it's and that's what I learned at that. You've got to be adaptable, really adaptable. And then like when you're coaching a local team, you also be like you're a bit of a manager, a welfare person. You got to understand the player where he's coming from. Where you get to, say, in Warriors environment, you just focus on coaching. Yeah.
And what about like the competitiveness and the desire to win? Is that the same as when you were playing? Is it more? Is it less?
I think it's probably more.
Yeah.
I think it's more as in like, because it's I don't know. I just feel that I have, as a coach, you have more desire to win than only because, but playing was a long time ago.
And what about now, Stace, in regards to goals? What are your goals now as a coach?
A big one, like this question gets asked a lot, like do I have aspirations to coach at NRL level? I don't. I was an interim coach there when Nathan Brown left, and I enjoyed that little period, but it was really hard because we were based in Brisbane, Redcliffe.
Yeah, wow.
And, all our games were in Brisbane. We got to come home for a couple of games back into 22. But I tell you, I love coaching the Kiwis. I love that. Obviously, we were disappointed with the results we had this year, but really proud of debuting 7 players, and it's going to make our squad a lot better for the future. So I have a big goal. I want to win a World Cup with the Kiwis. It's a big goal of mine, and I'm very fortunate enough that we've got a good bunch of players that we can select from, and I've got good support staff around me too.
Yeah, wow. Congratulations on that, by the way, as well.
Yeah, I know. It was tough, the first hit out, but I'm super excited for what's ahead.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of boys, and you've worked with a lot of young men particularly, and majority of our listeners will be men or younger men. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think is like a common theme that you consistently see, or of like a negative trait that you wish or you'd hoped to change, or something that we could work on as a collective? What's like something that you always see and you're like, man, just wish, why don't they?
These things.
Yeah.
I reckon we've got to spend less time on these. I think players' lives are consumed with it. Like when they go to bed at night, I'd imagine they'd be on their phone, especially young ones. I think the older ones with families have probably worked that out. But, every spare minute we get at training when players are not doing anything, we've got big wrestling mats and we've got a team room and all of that. And I reckon 90% of the time I see players on their phones, just whatever they're doing, I don't know, playing games or messaging. Look, they're really important, but I just feel that they consume too much of our lives.
Absolutely.
So I feel there's, the less time we can spend on those, and that allows us then more time to interact with other things.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's common, man. I'm a victim of it too. I do want to ask you some sort of fire off questions. What do you know now, Stace, that you wish you knew when you were younger?
What do I know now? Geez. That's a tough one. There's plenty of things. What do I know now? I'll come back to on that one.
Yeah. Or what about who do you know that I should know?
I reckon you should try and get Andrew Webster on here.
Yeah.
He's an interesting fella.
Yeah,
I'm older than him by about 3 or 4 years, and he's got a really good relationship with young people and older people.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Great answer, Andrew Webster. Coming for you, brother. Apart from footy, apart from coaching stays, what else makes you feel alive?
Obviously, most people talk about family and that. I've got a close-knit family. My kids and what they do. My wife, she's a school teacher. We've got a really good family life at home, and we spend a lot of our time up in the far north where my parents are, and whenever we get any spare time, we're up there. So family's a big one for me. As far as like hobbies go, I enjoy a beer, a Lion Red, and I enjoy punting on horses.
Yeah,
I don't have much success though, but there's a group of us that enjoy those things.
Yeah, wicked. Well, my final question for you before we go down there is, and this one may help you from the other one that you couldn't think of, but if you had to go to your younger self, could be the Stacey that's about to debut, 1995, April 23rd, do your research, everyone. What's the one thing you'd want to tell your younger self?
Just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to fail. I reckon that, like when you get in that environment and then the pressure's on you, and don't be afraid to fail, and don't worry about other people's opinion too. The only person's opinion that matters is probably yours and the people that are close to you. Yeah. Don't listen to other people that don't know you.
Yeah, wow. Do you think you used to suffer from that, other people's opinions, or have you always been quite good?
Yeah, I think so. But again, we didn't have social media, but we had, print, newspapers and people on news and all that. So, and I think that was the whole environment for any sort of sportsman or any footy player. You'd pick up a paper and they'd say you did this and did that, and you did that and whatever, but don't let it bother you.
Yeah, wow. Stace, we have a closing tradition on this podcast where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who he or she is.
Okay.
So the question for you today is, if you could be the CEO of any company, what would it be and why?
Oh, CEO of any company and why? Yes, good question. Just take it close to home. CEO of the Warriors.
Oh, hey, you never know, eh?
Yeah, but no, it won't happen. They'll be asking for it. Yeah, actually, that's hard. That being CEO, I know what Cameron George does. Jesus, he works hard. Well, CEO of McDonald's or something like that.
Hey, Lion
Lion Breweries. Yeah.
Hey.
There you go.
Then you have a few more, eh?
That's a better one. CEO of Lion Breweries.
Oh, I love it. Stacey Jones, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here, Stace.
No, Zach. Pleasure, mate. Awesome.
Stacey doesn't have any socials, but you can follow the New Zealand Warriors. The Kiwis as well. We'll chuck all their socials below. If you've made it this far, please hit that subscribe button. We'll leave our contact list up here, _The Martin Show. And we'll be back next week for our 1 year anniversary next week, whānau. So we'll be back next week for you guys. Thank you, team. Thank you.